Live from the edge of the Great Red Divide, from the little blue island in the middle of America. This is the Heartland Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Heidi Henry. The Heartland Mamas podcast can be found on all podcast platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Substack, Blue Sky, and part of the Demcast USA network. Like, subscribe, and share. So today let's talk about the end of the American dream, and we are only in day 9 of the reign of Orange Caligula. And let's see what he's tried to do so far. And we have to remember that there's a lot of buzz. He tries to keep everything buzzing all the time so that we can't really focus on what he's really trying to do, which is dismantle the US government. And yesterday he tried very hard to freeze all the grants and all the payouts going to everything from mental health facilities, cancer research, SNAP benefits, uh, housing subsidies, you name it, he put a stop to it. So he said, nobody else goes to school anymore, not unless you're very rich and don't need a loan or don't need your FAFSA. He said nobody with developmental disabilities are going to have any care unless their wealthy parents can afford it. He said there's no more daycare for people, no more Head Start, no more this, no more that, no more anything. It's like he's so busy cutting things off that he cuts off his nose to spite his face, right? He's always picking fights with somebody. He's always trying to paint himself as a big tough dude, when all we know is all he's trying to do is be the next Adolf Hitler. And he's there. If it's not him, it's Elon Musk for sure. For sure, it's Elon Musk. But let's talk about what that does when you cut off funding for adult daycare and for special needs centers for adults with developmental or intellectual disabilities. And they're young adults. They can't leave home because they can't take care of themselves. So they go to various centers around our community to spend the day, maybe doing a menial bit of labor, maybe just hanging out for the day, maybe attending some type of schooling, so that their parents can work. Because somebody's still got to make the bacon and pay the bills, right? But if we cut off the funding, the grant funding for all of these places, there's no places for these people to go. So somebody has to stay home with them because they can't stay home by themselves, right? They need something to do. But Trump doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that there could be a need for help for people who don't have very much money, who have special needs, who have special considerations. And it's not a welfare state, it's just people who need our tax dollars. They need our tax dollars worse than Elon Musk needs them. He paid no taxes last year. And heck, from what I'm reading, he's here illegally. So when you call that illegal immigrant hotline, be sure and turn in Elon Musk, because he came here to go to college and never did. So he's not here legally. And if he was that smart, couldn't he have done everything that he's done with Tesla, buying Tesla in South Africa? No, he can only do it here because our tax laws are so floppy and loose for the billionaires. You might as well come here. In South Africa, he'd have to pay his fucking taxes. In America, you don't have to if you're rich enough. Everybody knows it because they own their own congresspeople, they own their own president, they own their own Supreme Court. There's nothing for the rest of us, those of us that pay the bulk of the taxes every day, right? So we talked about a little bit yesterday about cutting off cancer and medical research. And if you go back in your history books, and I realize that some of you are not great at history and some of you are, but at the beginning of the Third Reich, of Hitler's reign, he wanted all the weak, disabled, trans people, the elderly, anybody who was not a productive member of society, anybody that he deemed a drain on the Third Reich, to hurry up and die already, right? Because you're just draining us. And so he started this by making sure that people literally starved to death or died from disease in the 1930s Germany. And if you were a trans person or gay or Roma or Jewish, you went to the concentration camp where you worked until you went to the gas chamber and were incinerated. So I just I want you to know that we are not on a slippery slope. We are at the bottom of that slippery slope right now, looking up at the Holocaust, and he's trying to figure out how to get us there. Remember last time we were together, I talked about how at one point in Auschwitz, they took 40,000 people a week that they deemed unsuitable as humans and shipped them off to the gas chamber and extinguished them, took their lives because he didn't like how they were. He didn't like how they worshiped God. He didn't like anything about Jewish people. And now you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's sure that there's Jewish space lasers. I'm not sure exactly how that works, Marjorie. And if we do really control the weather, could we please rain more on California just lightly to put out the fires? I'm not sure which Democrat's in charge of that, but if you could get on it, that would be great. So when you take away the hope and the lifelines for children and adults that have cancer, that have special medical needs, you take away their hope and everything they will ever hope to be. You end it right there. And a lot of these cuts are to discourage people from even thinking about the American dream anymore. And we're a couple generations now past when Ronald Reagan was here. There are a lot more people now alive that were born after Reagan than were born before Reagan, like me. I mean, I remember life before and after Reagan, and I've watched our society, the great society built by FDR, completed by Johnson, by LBJ. I've watched them pick it apart. Reagan did probably the most damage. Reagan ruined everything. But then you had W. Bush that came in and put us into two unwinnable wars and spent trillions and trillions of dollars on shit. On, Raytheon stuff, on Blackwater stuff, on stuff for his rich buddies to manufacture for the industrial war complex. That's money we'll never get back. So they put us into a deep, deep, deep debt. And then we come to Trump, who also does the same thing. He gives tax cuts to the very, very wealthy while cutting them out for small businesses that make under $400,000 a year. And businesses that produce under $100,000 a year, like mine, are taxed at the highest rate. So, and I talked a little bit online about how, in doing some research about leaving Facebook, 97% of small businesses that make under $100,000 a year use Facebook as their marketing tool. They don't have a website. They use Facebook. They use Facebook advertising. That's how they promote their business. Facebook's tentacles are so deeply entrenched into small business in the United States that there's no way they can extract themselves without terminating their business. Having your own small business is also part of the American dream, along with the house with the white picket fence and a couple of nice cars and 2.3 kids. None of that is available to people under 30 now, unless for some reason you've completed your education, you've got a really big buck job, or you come from money. But for most people, it's just not there. This is not available to you. So the American dream is gone, starting with Reagan making college cost money, because it used to be free. And before Reagan, we also had something called Title I, which funded our public education system, because in an educated society, you have lower crime, you have lower dysfunction, you have lower drug abuse, you have healthier, stable communities, healthier, stable people. But when the wolf is at the door and your entire economy, your entire society runs on money, that money is the only thing that they look forward to. They count the days until their next paycheck. Instead of counting each day to live, they count the days till they get their next pay period so they can put food on the table. And that was another thing he did, was freezing SNAP. Well, SNAP is part of the Farm Bill. And you all have kicked that Farm Bill down the road and down the road and down the road. Now farmers are getting ready to plant. I mean, they're out there putting lime and stuff down in the fields by me. And more of that is to come, fertilizer and so on. And then what? You don't have a Farm Bill in place. So we're just kind of operating as if we do have a Farm Bill, but we don't. And then Trump goes and picks a fight with Colombia, who is our fifth largest trading partner for corn. Fifth largest. Now, I used to be a florist. It's also the top producer of cut flowers in the world, except for maybe tulips in Amsterdam. That's about it. But when I worked as a florist, see, way back when, to try to get in the 80s, to try to get Colombia to divest itself of the drug culture, they got them to invest in selling cut flowers. It was a huge deal, and Colombia has become one of our greatest allies in South America and really helped curb drugs. Now, illegal drugs in the United States exist not because of Colombians, not because of Mexicans, not because of illegal drug traffickers. It exists because Americans have a huge appetite for illegal drugs. Huge. Not me. It's never been me. But I've lost a number of the people I went to school with, high school with, all the kids that were using drugs back when in the late 70s when I was in high school. They're all dead now, or they've got profound cancer, or they've got memory issues, or they've got Alzheimer's. They're in the nursing home. And then you have people like me, same era, no drugs, doing okay, Drugs kill people. They may not kill you right away, but they're going to plant those seeds of cancer and dysfunction in your body, and eventually they will kill you. But illegal drugs exist in this country because we have a huge appetite for them, and we have a huge appetite for drugs in this country because we've taken away the hopes and dreams of generations of people, Ronald Reagan. And Trump wants to take away what's left. He wants to take away all the hope and all the dreams and all the future ideas and ideals for all of the people here. And that's a very sad place to be. That's a horrible place to be. I just can't understand how anyone could look at that man and think that he's a leader and think that he's the answer to all the problems when he is the problem. The bird flu looms large. Go try to buy eggs right now. They're super expensive. The bird flu looms large. So what did he do? He pulled us out of the World Health Organization, right? He cut back all of the funding for the National Institute of Health. And he wants to close the simple thing that we have always used that has really helped us, the Centers for Disease Control. Believing somehow that if they stick their head in the sand about science, that it'll all just go away. Well, let me tell you, Donald Trump and all of his ilk, you can deny science all you want, but science will never deny you. It's going to come right for you. And when it comes for you, it's going to get the rest of us. We lived through one global pandemic recently, 2 in less than 100 years. Some of us took all the precautions we could so we would survive. Some of you never will. You don't want to wear a face diaper, you big whiny baby. You don't want to protect people who are weaker in the immune system than you. But if you're MAGA, you want them to die because what good are they? Our country voted to have all of its hopes and dreams and future stolen from it. We have in place an oligarchy that will rape and pillage the United States for everything it has. If you look at NASA, it's gone now. It's now Blue Horizon, that's Jeff Bezos, and whatever it is that Elon Musk calls his space race thing. That's because they don't pay taxes. That was one of our first hopes and dreams under JFK, under Kennedy. And that's one of the first things they came for, because they're hoping to exploit other worlds when they're done exploiting us, when they're done killing this earth so there's no reason or no ability to live here anymore. So what can you do? You can keep the garbage out of your mind. Stay off of TV. Stay off of doom scrolling on your phone. Walk away. Take a walk. Do something positive. Volunteer at the food pantry. God knows, especially if we lose SNAP, there'll be a lot of hungry kids out there. A lot of them. Find like-minded people. Join your local progressive group. Join Red, Wine, and Blue because they've got an awesome bunch of advocates. Join Indivisible. Do something. Join. Be part of something bigger than you that can take advantage of this time to build a future for all of us. We are running out of time and we're running out of opportunity. If this last election has shown us anything, it's that the people, a third of the people of the United States that voted, only 2/3 of the people that live here that can vote did vote, and a little over 1/3 of them voted to end our democracy, to embrace Nazism, to embrace money over people. That is really sad. For supposedly a Christian nation, that's pathetic. So from the edge of the Great Red Divide, from the little blue island in the middle of the United States, this has been the Heartland Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Heidi Henry. I hope you have a more cheerful day than the thoughts I have in my head right now, which are really pretty bleak. But I want you to know I'm always here to spout off several times a week. Take care now. Bye-bye.